It's the final week of the transfer window and Chelsea remain very much active. So today we find out what's happening with Garnacho and Xavi Simons deal. Discuss the here we go for Aram and Domino and Nkunku Nicolas, and also find out where Jackson, Disasi, Sterling and Nkunku might be heading to. But before we dive into it, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. But if you have been following me for a while, you know the drills. We're on the road to 10k subscribers. So make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you get notified anytime we upload. So let's dive into it. So it looks like Nkunku Nicolas saga is finally over. After weeks of back and forth, Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed the deal. And once again, Chelsea has shown how strong we are in the market when it comes to selling players. Nkunku Nicolas to Borussia Dortmund, here we go. Deal done, plan confirmed, Chelsea to receive around 25 million euros with add-on and heavy sell-on clause also included. Key in this deal is Anselmino's loan and Nkunku Nicolas permanent. Both will undergo medical on Monday. So here it is. Nkunku Nicolas is officially off to Dortmund. And it's not just Nkunku Nicolas. Another big development also came in for Aram and Anselmino. Fabrizio also dropped Aram and Anselmino to Borussia Dortmund from Chelsea, here we go. Deal agreed on loan, no buy option clause as Anselmino will be back at Chelsea in June 2026. Borussia Dortmund will cover his salary and also expected to sign Nkunku Nicolas permanent deal next. Almost done. Now let's break this down. First of all, with Nkunku Nicolas, we are talking about a fee around 25 million euros with add-ons. And most importantly, a heavy sell-on clause included. This is massive for us because it means Dortmund also develop him. And he gets a big move in future, Chelsea will benefit again. That's smart business. For Anselmino, this is the one that shouldn't be overlooked. We loaned him out to Borussia Dortmund with no buy option. And the deal is structured perfectly for us. They are covering his salary. He's going to be getting top-level experience in Bundesliga and Germany. And then he will return to Chelsea in June 2026. And that's exactly the type of loan move we need for a young defender like him. So let's sum it up. Nkunku Nicolas saga is done. He joins Dortmund permanently for 25 million plus add-ons with big sell-on clause. Aram Anselmino is joining them too, but on loan, no option. He will be back in Chelsea in 2026. Once again, we have proven we can sell well, protect our future, and set up our young players with the right opportunity. But speaking of the right opportunities, let's talk about the future of Christopher Nkunku, because this is where things get very, very interesting. According to reports coming out of Germany, Max Ebel, Bayern's head of sports, had an order from the supervisory board that he's just allowed to make loan deals and not allowed to buy any player at the moment. So that's the problem in case of Nkunku. Chelsea wants to sell Nkunku, no loan deal. So that's the key point for us here. Chelsea are only looking for a permanent sale for Nkunku. Bayern Munich might want him, Leipzig might want him, but if they are thinking about a loan, that's simply not on the table. And it's not just Bayern who are cycling. The latest update confirms that. Aston Villa, RB Leipzig, Galatasaray, Bayer Leverkusen are all interested in Christopher Nkunku. According to said JFM, there is a genuine demand here, and most importantly, this isn't just paper talks. Contact has already been made. Fabrizio himself confirmed that. Aston Villa made contact for Christopher Nkunku as an option for the final week of the transfer window. Bayern and Leipzig are both keen. Now let's analyze this. Nkunku hasn't had the smoothest Chelsea career so far, largely due to injuries. But the fact that big clubs like Villa, Leipzig, Bayern and Leverkusen are all pushing shows the quality is still there. For us, the stance is very clear. If Nkunku is to leave, it will be a permanent transfer. No loan, no temporary drift. This is another example of Chelsea being firm in the market. Just like with Nkunku Nicolas, just like with other exits we have managed. We are showing again that we are not just a club who are handing out loans for free. We protect our value and we secure our future. So the Nkunku situation is definitely the one to keep an eye on in the final weeks of the transfer window. Now, Aston Villa already making contact. Bayern restricted to loan deals only. It looks like the door could be open for a big Premier League move if the price is right. But when we talk about the final weeks of the transfer window, one of the biggest stories surrounding us is Alejandro Garnacho's deal. And Fabrizio has dropped a massive update. Chelsea 100% expect the Alejandro Garnacho deal to happen. So I fully think we'll have a here we go this week for Alejandro Garnacho on the deadline day on Monday. Garnacho to Chelsea is moving, and the expectation is that it will happen before the window shuts. But there are some important details about Tyrique George in this negotiation as well. Fabrizio explained. Tyrique George was offered to Manchester United during talks for Garnacho a few weeks ago, but that option has been stopped. He's no longer part of the conversation for Alejandro Garnacho to Chelsea. So Tyrique George won't be part of Garnacho's deal anymore. But that doesn't mean his future is quiet. Things are heating up elsewhere. Fabrizio Romano confirmed. Roma has asked for the condition of Tyrique George deal after initial contact in July. And then he added, AS Roma keep working on Tyrique George deal as exclusively reviewed on Saturday. Talks ongoing with his camp and Chelsea over a deal for Mala. preference for permanent move. Bundesliga clubs are keen with RB Leipzig and more in contact with players' agents. So what does this mean for us? Here is the reality. The Simon Garnacho deal are directly tied to the departure of Nkunku and Jackson. And that's because UEFA told us to balance our net spend. But the important truth is that outgoing must be players registered in the second half of the Conference League. And that's why Chukwuemeka doesn't count. So right now, we must wait for Nkunku and Jackson feature to be resolved before we complete Xavi Simons and Alejandro Garnacho's deal. And that's why these next few days are absolutely massive. To break it down simply, Garnacho's deal, Chelsea expect it to happen. Fabrizio says, here we go, comes this week or on the deadline. Tyrique George not part of the Garnacho talks anymore, but Roma and Bundesliga clubs are pushing on a permanent move. And finally, the most important factor, Nkunku and Jackson exit. Without this, we can't finalize Garnacho or Simon because of UEFA spending rules. This is shaping up to be a very dramatic end to the window. And once again, it all comes down how quickly we move our players. But speaking of moving our players, let's discuss the very latest on Nicolas Jackson, because this is turning into one of the biggest talking points of the deadline week. According to multiple reports out of Germany, there are already movements between Jackson and Bayern. Bayern Munich and Nicolas Jackson had an agreement on personal terms and are now negotiating terms with Chelsea. Bayern wants a loan deal. So personal terms with Bayern are not issues. Jackson himself is open to the move. The sticking point is clear. Bayern wants it to be a loan deal. Why for us? That simply doesn't work. We want a permanent transfer to balance the books, especially with UEFA monitoring our net spend. But Bayern are not the only club cycling. Matt Law has also confirmed other clubs are in the mix. Newcastle are understood to be eyeing up Nicolas Jackson. Villa has been exploring a deal to reunite him with Unai Emery. There remains a belief that Bayern or another huge club could make a late play for him. So Newcastle are still watching him very closely. And Aston Villa has been looking to bring him back under Unai Emery. And there is even a suggestion that another huge club could make a late push. From our perspective, this is absolutely crucial. Because like we mentioned earlier, the departure of Jackson and Nkunku are the key dominoes that unlock Xavi Simons and Alejandro Garnacho. UEFA rule means we need to shift players who are registered in the Conference League squad, and Jackson falls into that category. The clock is ticking, and Jackson's situation is one of the biggest stories for Chelsea heading into the deadline day. And finally, let's talk about Xavi Simons, because this is a deal that has recently gone a little bit quiet. Even though it's still one of our biggest transfer targets, we have had fresh updates from Germany that makes the situation very clear. It's been reported that the Red Bull CEO, Oliver Mintzlaff, has got involved in the negotiation over Xavi Simons and has reached out to Chelsea for talks. The outcome, Chelsea must offload players before they make a formal offer. At the moment, only a player swap is feasible, including Nkunku. Leipzig price tag remains firm at 70 million euros. So there are two big takeaways here. First of all, the top of Red Bull structure, Oliver Mintzlaff, himself has been directly involved, which shows how serious Leipzig are about protecting their position. And second, the outcome is clear. We cannot move for Simeon until we make a sale. And that's why this deal feels like it has gone a little bit radio silent. We are now in the final week of the transfer window, and the chances of this deal pulling through depends entirely on what happens with our outgoing. Nkunku is the obvious piece that could unlock it, but Leipzig's stance hasn't changed. They want 70 million euros. And unless we balance our book, there's no formal offer coming from Chelsea. So right now, the Xavi Simons situation is the one of patience. We want him, and the interest is 100% genuine. But unless exit like Nkunku and Jackson are resolved in the next few days, the transfer could slip away from us. And unless Jackson and Nkunku leaves, the chances of landing Xavi Simons this week looks very slim. It's one of those that could easily go down the wire or end up being a deal we revisit later. And now let's move on to Axel Disasi, because it looks like his time with us is once again coming to an end. But this time, it's another loan. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed the story, saying Bournemouth are now in advanced talk to sign Axel Disasi, as officials direct contact with Chelsea has been made. Clubs are negotiating on final formula, but Disasi clear top target for AFC Bournemouth. Discussion underway, Bournemouth confident to make it happen. So Bournemouth are pushing hard. They sees Disasi as a top clear target, and talks with Chelsea are well advancing. And at the same time, there are also interest from elsewhere. According to Fabrice Hawkins, Sunderland are ready to send a formal bid for Axel Disasi. Bournemouth are also interested and can offer a loan with an option, not mandatory. Two other clubs are monitoring. So it's not just Bournemouth. Sunderland are also preparing a bid, and there are also two big clubs watching the situation closely. But Fabrizio Romano made it clear where things stand right now. Axel Disasi is going to Bournemouth, the deal is almost done with the final details to clarify. And Simon Jones also backed that up, adding, Chelsea defender Axel Disasi is closing in on a one-year deal move to Bournemouth. So from our perspective, it looks like the decision is made. Disasi is leaving us for another loan move, this time for Bournemouth. The details are being ironed out, but the deal is basically done. Now we can debate whether a loan is the best outcome here, especially with Bournemouth pushing for one-year deal. But at the same time, this shows once again we are being active in moving players out, making space in the squad and reducing wages. So it looks like another loan exit for Axel Disasi, and now we wait for the official announcement. Let's now discuss about another potential loan exit on the horizon, and now it's about Raheem Sterling. According to reports, our stance is very clear when it comes to Sterling's future. One update reveals, Chelsea wants 20 million to sell Raheem Sterling this summer. So if any club wants him on a permanent deal, the price has been set, £20 million, but at the same time there are also scenarios being explored. Matlock confirmed, Chelsea are open to loaning Sterling and the player would be keen to stay in Premier League and close to London. Fulham considered a move for the former England forward. So the situation is this, we are open to a loan move. Sterling himself prefers to remain in the Premier League, and crucially, he would like to stay close to London. And that's where Fulham comes into equation. They have been considering a move, and things has got more interesting recently because Behdad Eghbali actually spotted at Craven Cottage alongside Fulham owner during the game against Manchester United. Now put all of this together, the picture becomes clear. For us, we are flexible. £20 million for a permanent sale, but if that doesn't materialize, a loan deal could still work. Sterling wants to stay in the Premier League, Fulham are cycling, and the ownership links could help accelerate things. This is another example of us being proactive in the market and setting ourselves up for incoming signings we have been lining up. Sterling future is now a big story to watch, and it feels like a resolution could come very, very soon. So that's the end of the video, my friend. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. You go be.